Well, we are back on YouTube. It's been a minute since we've had a video up. We apologize for that. Subscribers, thank you for hanging with us.
Appreciate it.
If you're new watching this video, go ahead and hit subscribe. College Game Time YouTube channel. B. Holmes, we picked a good day to come back on.
Oh boy, did we? Did we?
We've got Saban, we've got Jimbo, we've got Coach Prime, we've got everybody chiming in. The NIL, it's just blowing up college football. Some people think it's a great thing. Some people think it's a negative. At this point, they certainly need to get some regulations in. But let me go back. Let me go back to National Signing Day.
Okay.
Because this is not our first video about this topic.
We talked about it all season. Let's be correct. And I believe if they go back and listen to the Blue Bloods College Game Time podcast, we said this when we talked about NIL. It's going to be, I think you said it and I said it. We said we believe it's going to be the wild, wild west. Just for reference.
And then specifically to Jimbo, we made a whole video, which you can scroll through our channel and find, did Jimbo dry snitch? Okay?
Right, yes.
Because if you go back to National Signing Day when that story broke about the $30 million NIL fund that A&M had, and that's what got the number one recruiting class, essentially not just implying, but stating that A&M paid for the number one overall recruiting class. Jimbo went on a tirade. Every interview he was on, he's going crazy about, saying we paid for the class. That's disrespect to the kids. That's disrespect to the coaches in this campus and yada, 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 yada. He was denying it. And then in that interview, official interview, he made the comment, y'all need to dig into some of these other guys. I know things. Remember, he said that. I remember
things. Clearly.
Directly implying that other places, particularly where he's been and where he's coached prior to being a head coach, were cheating. Right. Now, who are the two main head coaches he's worked for? Bobby Bowden and Nick Saban.
Yep.
You knew when he made that comment who he was referring to.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
So I believe Nick Saban's comments here recently, where he stated, do you have the exact quote in front of you? I've actually read it. I've heard it. Like I saw this one. But paraphrasing, he essentially says Texas A&M paid for their number one recruiting class. I believe those were his exact words.
I'm looking it up now.
And he also commented on Coach Prime, but we'll get to that in a second.
Buying players under the consequence will be difficult if people spend tons of money. It's going to be difficult for people to spend tons of money to get players. You read about it and you know who they are. We were second in recruiting last year. A&M was first. A&M bought every player on their team. Made a deal for name, image, and likeness. We didn't buy one player, but I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that in the future because more and more people are doing it. It's tough. That was the quote.
Now, I call bull, you know what, on him saying they didn't pay for any of their players. But when I initially saw this quote and then went and heard it for myself, I went back to Jimbo's signing day press conference and thought, Saban knew what he was doing. He's responding to Jimbo's sort of indirect, passive-aggressive attack at him. So essentially what we have here, Brandon, and then I want you to kind of give your take on things. Jimbo dry snitches on Saban. If you know anything about his coaching history, you knew that's who he was referencing. Saban counters a few months later with just a direct snitch, or it wasn't even a snitch. He just called it like he believes it to be.
It was.
We all know that's the case. Jimbo keeps getting fired up, and he, of course, has responded, and then Saban has since responded again. But before we get into Coach Prime and all that, because he got involved in Saban's quotes as well, what's your take on this whole Saban-Jimbo thing?
One, I think it's dumb. Like, come on, man. Anytime we text about NIL, what I always say, bag man, yeah, that's me. Like, we know the bag man is real. The bag man has always been real. This is my thing. Like, I'm going to say it like this. Nick Saban for the last decade has brought in 5 stars from all across the country. Now, Trey, you telling me this. If you grow up in Los Angeles, California, you're a 5-star recruit, you're willing to leave that to go live in Tuscaloosa for nothing? For nothing? You telling me in good old Frisco, Texas, which is a beautiful place to be, I can go to UT, I can go to A&M, I can stay in the good old. I'm leaving to go to Tuscaloosa. I don't know if you ever been to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I've been there. Ain't nothing there. So you telling me off good merit, and just because you win football games, Nick Saban, kids are just randomly leaving? If they're just doing it for the love of the game, Trey, why would I leave what I love just to go live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama? So, and here's my other thoughts on this, because I know this to be true. I won't put out my sources like that. I won't say names, but I know this to be a fact. There's a lot of exchanging of funds to those in the religious community when it comes to signing recruits in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I know that to be a fact. I know for a fact. I think I can say this. I can. That is how Tua landed at this is what I know. I'm going to share the story. I'm not going to say the people. I'm not going to say, but I'm going to keep it real. Nick Saban was in a recruiting battle for Tua. Tua was a highly regarded quarterback. He won 2 natties at Bama, whatever. Tua's family is highly religious, highly Christian. Nick Saban's a Catholic. He doesn't go to church like that. Now, what does Nick Saban do? Nick Saban says, when Tua's family comes to the table, Trey, this is true. Hey, we need to go somewhere where we know there's a good church and a good church foundation that is important to us. Our faith matters. Nick Saban don't go to church. He's Catholic. So what does he do? He calls on one of the many pastors in that area, one of the most influential pastors in that area. Do your research if you want to. That place hosts Tua's family for the weekend. That place is the reason why Tua ends up committing, or it's one of the reasons. Excuse me.
So wait, are you saying Bama dropped the bag on the church in Tuscaloosa?
Come on, man.
Oh, okay.
Come on, man. Tua also did leadership intensives with this said religious institution. So you telling me now? Me and you both have worked for churches. Now, I'm just. Now I don't know this to be true, but let me just give you some insight. Like,
money's a motivator,
right? Money's a motivator. But now imagine this, right? I, as a university at the time, can't directly pay the player,
right?
But if the church decides to adopt a college athlete, there's nothing I can do about that, even as the NCAA. So it's not this church I'm referencing isn't the only one. There's a couple other,
right? And it's not even like this is exclusive to Bama, right? Yeah,
it's deep in the weeds. So all I'm saying is, Nick, I say all that to say, because I know that to be true. That's not fallacy. That's not me making up a story. I know that to be true. I don't know the details of the Tua deal, but I know religious institutions are involved. I say all that to say, Nick, man, come on. Don't be mad that somebody finally, now that it's legal, now that it's fair, somebody beat you at your own game. A&M, they were like, we're sick of it. So now that we can really just pay, let's ante up. Yeah. Pretty much put your money where your mouth is. And until there's rules and regulations, and I've always been this way about NIL, even though I've been always like NIL, somebody that's been behind it, I do agree. Can we get some regulations? But in the midst, until we get regulations, I can't be mad at Jimbo. I can't be mad at Texas A&M said, yo, let's ante up. Let's be competitive. Let's put together. Let's go buy the kids. And until there's some stuff in place, I don't think anybody should complain. And I definitely don't think Nick Saban should come across and say, oh, we had nothing. Oh, we don't buy our players. I think that's crap, man. Come on.
Yeah, and I think Saban, like most head coaches at these prestigious universities, they're like that untouchable mob boss where
right,
they know what's happening in the organization, but they don't know.
Right.
And everybody that knows their role makes sure that the kingpin or the boss, whatever you want to call it, is protected and completely clean of any association of any of this activity that's going on.
Right.
Because I was even shocked back around signing day when Saban took a similar stance of like, we've never done this being enticed players to our university with money. Now, look, what's he supposed to say? Hey, we've been cheating for the last decade.
Plausible deniability.
Right. And so it just surprises me that he's coming out taking such hard stances. Like, I guess it surprised me because I would assume he wouldn't comment on it at all. Just not say anything, don't ask, don't tell. Now that the NILs are in, he wasn't shy about promoting Bryce Young's
making a mill,
a year ago at the Texas conference. So it feels like there's a little double standard there. It feels like he specifically has this axe to grind with Jimbo. And look, everyone's kind of coming for Jimbo because he just brought in the highest recruiting class of all time in like the rankings era. And there was the rumor of the $30 million NIL budget and all that good stuff. The fact that Jimbo is getting so defensive and fired up about it makes me believe even more that actually was the case and that's true.
It's true.
But I also have another thought. Is this Saban putting a warning shot out there, maybe to the NCAA or just to the national landscape in general, essentially saying, yeah, we just got beat. We just got beat by a team that paid for their recruiting class.
Right.
If this is what we're going to, I promise you, I will destroy the parity in college football even more than I already have. Because if you don't think Bama can compete with anybody else's quote unquote NIL budget, you're crazy.
You're crazy.
Is he, if you're listening between the lines, reading between the lines, is he maybe saying, is that his call to action? Like, is he maybe talking to his own people saying, hey, it's time to
ante
it up because we will not get beat out in recruiting again because of NIL.
I think it's very believable. I think it wouldn't shock me if he's kind of putting it out this way. But I'm going to go on the fence on saying it like this. Even if he isn't, he doesn't have to. You can't tell me Alabama donors didn't see that and go, oh, we need to fix that around here. That can't happen.
Right.
We're Alabama.
They're already picking up.
Yeah, I think Saban's at this point in his career. I am with you. I'm shocked that he's doubling down so hard on it. Because like we all know, cheating goes on everywhere. It is what it is. You're just not getting caught. Like you said, it's plausible deniability. It's protect the kingpin. He knows, or he chooses not to know. Let me just put it like that. He chooses not to know. I think he's sour, man, because you have to think for the most part of Saban's tenure, there's this air of respect towards him. Not too many people take shots at Nick Saban. There's this like, he's the GOAT. He's the best. Yes. I'm honored that I get to learn from him. I'm honored I get to compete against Nick Saban in Alabama. And, help me, and you have a better memory than me on these things. But Jimbo's one of the few people, if not one of the only coaches, I think in the last couple of years that's just like, screw Nick Saban.
Right.
I'm coming for you. My goal is to beat you. Yeah. I want to be the best. I'm going to call you out on what you're doing. I'm not afraid of you. Because though Jimbo hasn't won 10 or 8, how many national, he's won a couple. Like, he's been successful. So I think he's kind of probably feeling like, I'm not scared of Nick. Everyone else here is afraid of Nick. I'm not afraid of him.
He's won one as a head coach, and then he's won as a coordinator. But I also think he I feel like still has an axe to grind, even for his time working for Saban.
Probably.
When you make a comment, the narcissist in him won't allow it.
That's personal.
That's personal.
That's personal.
And like I've worked under the leadership of a said narcissist.
Facts.
And one, it's not fun for anybody.
Right.
No matter how good you are, how bad you are, like it is not fun working for someone like that because
right.
And I don't know Nick Saban. Like I don't know. I've never worked for the guy. But when you have a coach like Jimbo saying that, whether it's true or not, it's his truth from his experience working under him. And then I find it ironic that the next coach he worked under after Saban was Bobby Bowden, who if
everyone
you hear
loves.
people talk about everybody loved him. His former assistants, his former players. I mean, Coach Prime, who we're going to talk about in just a second, talks about how that's like his father figure.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering if it's like Jimbo is finally in this place where he feels like he's got the skins on the wall, like you were just referencing.
Yep.
He's got the ammo loaded up as far as his talent pool.
Yep.
And he's like, I'm letting all this out.
I'm
letting it all out. Everything I've held on to. Yeah, I want the smoke. I'm not worried about getting blackballed anymore. I'm not worried about how this might impact my future. I'm going to let everyone know every chance I get how I feel about this guy that the college football world esteems as this god who I work for, and you're going to hear how I feel about it. Oh, and by the way, I just beat him, and I beat him on the field. I beat him in recruiting, and I'm getting ready to take over, at least in his mind, the landscape of college football. I don't think that's going to happen because it's the Aggies. But that's the passion from which he's coming to. So
I love it.
So we can wrap this up. Why on earth would he go after Coach Prime in this? Here's Deion Sanders building a program. He's taken a job in an HBCU in the SWAC, Jackson State. He's probably making less money than he's made doing anything else. Since
for sure. Playing days.
Probably since,
since playing at Florida State, probably.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I mean, maybe like his high school years, because he was a high school coach, but I think he did that voluntarily.
Like pro bono, yeah.
Yeah. So he's obviously not doing it for the money. He's trying to build the HBCU name and the credibility. He's just put new facilities in at Jackson State, which I don't know if you've seen the video.
Amazing.
It's awesome.
They look amazing.
Signs the number 1 overall recruit in the country. And Saban now is making comments about him. Oh, and I don't have the direct quote in front of me, but he said it was in the paper. He signed for $1 million, or he got $1 million to sign with Jackson State. And here it is. Jackson State paid a guy $1 million last year. That was a really good Division I player to come to school. It was in the paper. They bragged about it. Nobody did anything about it. And then, of course, probably by the time someone's watching this video, Deion's, Coach Prime's response is probably out there. He put an Instagram video up a few hours prior to us recording this video that his response was going to drop. But regardless of what Coach Prime comes back and says, you saw the tweets between him and Travis Hunter.
Yeah, he came out and said, I got $1 million, but my mom's still staying in a 3-bedroom house with 5 kids. Laughing emoji.
And then Deion was like, I don't even make that.
Yeah, much. I don't even make $1 million.
No, he's probably getting that from his other branding,
Barstool
but
and
not
stuff.
from
not from
coaching Jackson State. So why would he go after him?
Dude, it sounds like I want to reference something you referenced back in our March Madness episodes.
Okay.
When you talked about how Coach K started to look and act like a grumpy old man. And I made this, I hinted on this a little bit when we talked about this, and we agreed that Nick is kind of adjusting a little bit better. But we've known, and I think I've said this before, I don't think Nick enjoys this free pay for play deal. I think he likes it how it was because he can have plausible deniability. He knows what's going on, but no one's going to touch the kingpin. This kind of opens the floodgates because Alabama, they got money, but everybody got money. Ohio State has money. Texas has money. USC has money. Michigan has, like, Florida has. There's money in these big time universities. And now that it's open, we can, we can ante up and we can go to a bidding war. And I think, if we're being honest, Nick Saban in a pre-NIL world, he got a good chance of landing Travis Hunter. He was committed to Florida State, but he had a really good chance. And I think between Jimbo and then all of a sudden you have Deion, Coach Prime, who most people think is a flash in the pan coach. Like, let's call it what it is. No one thinks he's legitimate.
Go watch his documentary if you think that.
Right. It's like, I believe Deion's going to be a legitimate. I hope, we've talked about it before. I think it's irritating Saban because the landscape is changing. Now, I don't know why you would speak on Travis Hunter or Deion, but this is what I think Nick needs to be really careful about moving into this NILs stuff. Kids now are a little different, man. And especially the way that they can get the bag and the way because they're going to lock down, but they're still going to allow them to make money off name, image, likeness, YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff, right? They're going to find ways to get the bag. And even if you put boundaries on it, it'll still go back to the bag man in some way, shape, or form. I think Nick needs to be really careful because you now have this era of kid that grew up on social media where it's all about me. Very rarely can you sell the kid on the come be one of the greats at Alabama. That stuff doesn't work with these kids anymore. One, they grew up where it's about them. But two, this is what I'm learning because with my new role, I work with kids a lot now. It's about relationship. Like, kids want to know, do you really care about me or am I just another player with a number? Now, before Saban could get away with that because, like, hey, you can't really say anything about the bag anyways. Take the bag, shut up. I'm going to get you to the NFL. Now it's like, well, athletes have the leverage. I don't need to take your bag because if you offer me a bag, I'm going to leverage that against Florida State. Like, well, Bama's offering me $300K. Can you at least give me $325? Okay, they're going to give me $325. Oh, and the cornerback coach actually comes to my game, and we look the same, and he understands what I'm going through, and he checks on my mama, and he checks on my him and my. It's becoming a different recruiting game, Trey. Like, recruiting is changing. And I'm starting to get the sense Saban's becoming a little old manish, and maybe Jimbo sees it. Because we know every world has their own rumblings, and maybe Jimbo knows enough or knows people around him enough to be like, oh, yeah, he's feeling that pressure. I'm going to put the heat on him. I'm going for the kill because I'm willing. And we know, people, I know somebody that knows that played around with Jimbo in that space. And he's like, man, Jimbo's a nice guy. People like Jimbo. So, because here's what we do know. Saban's never been known to be relational. They call him the closer, and I just think, bro, I think he's getting a little old manish and he needs to really be careful because there was no need to bring Deion. There was no need to bring Travis Hunter into this. But when you're having an old man hissy fit about how things have changed and they're not the way that they used to be, what do? You start shooting spray bullets at people that didn't deserve it, which I think he has to remember. All these kids talk. And all it takes is one top recruit to see that and be like, who cares?
I'm with you. I do think Saban's pretty relational. I think a lot of his former players, if you kind of listen to them talk about him outside of the media, who was it recently? I think it was a guy with the Ravens, maybe, who let an inside joke that Saban used to say slip. I can't even remember what it was, but in that he said, a lot of y'all just have this perception of Coach Saban and how he treats his players.
I remember that.
Yeah. But what you don't really see is how much he really does care and get to know his guy. So I won't take that away from him. And there's still this part of me that has this respect for Saban, that he's so calculated, strategic, and almost a mad scientist, that there was some other motivation for him saying what he said, whether it was NCAA, you better get it together, or you're really about to let parity in college football just completely be destroyed by this. But then that Jimbo, the narcissist in him, maybe he was just a bitter old man and he lost and he was mad. And in a sense, he made an excuse. Well, A&M paid for their recruiting class, and Deion gave the top recruit $1 million to come to Jackson State, and blah, 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 blah. And let me just say this about Deion. What everyone's got to remember is all of the top players in the country of this generation, all of their parents' generation, guess who their favorite football player was growing up? Deion.
Prime, baby.
So you think he can't get into any living room in the country whenever, however, whatever he wants? Please. Well, I think that's enough discussion on that. If you're still watching, we appreciate you. We thank you. Go ahead and hit subscribe down there.
Subscribe button.
Hit the I don't even remember what it's called. We've got a new feature.
Oh, feature at the bottom.
What's that called? I'm trying to pull it up.
Shoot, it's so new, bro. We haven't posted a video since we got it.
I know. So here I am pulling it up. It is the thanks. Yeah, hit the little thanks icon down there, and you can give us a super thanks. Show
the boys some love, man.
Yeah. So we help us keep the lights on. We have got some massive things coming as we get closer to football season. Right now, we've had a lot of transition happening personally. We've got our website, collegegametime.com up. Go check that out. We've got a lot of articles up there, a lot of blog posts, videos. That may have been how you got to this particular video you're watching. We're setting a foundation. Things are still progressing. Keep staying tuned. Keep checking back. And we're going to keep pumping out that college football content that you want, that you need, for the fans, by the fans.
As always, man. Until next time. College football's almost here. We can't wait to be back with y'all on the regular. We can't wait to be with y'all on the regular. But until next time, man, we appreciate you guys. Peace.